Lads, welcome back to Fusion YGO and another deck profile today. This time around, we're getting a little bit ahead of the curve. We're looking at Rescue Ace post DUNE support. This deck gets a lot better after these cards come out. If you guys need a comment tutorial to kind of show you roughly how the deck operates and the new things the new cards can do, be sure to go into the card up in the top right corner over there. There'll also be a link at the end of the video that'll get you to that comment tutorial as well. So the list that we're running today, it looks a bit different than what we are running currently post SIAC. So with this list, we're still running the 3 copies of Hydrant, still a pretty good starter card. 3 copies of Air Hoister. This guy is your best 1-card combo now in the deck, so if he goes off, you're set. You get everything. Next up, we have 3 Impulse. Basically, it's just a halveness for the deck. Allows you to play on the opponent's turn, get you more consistency, be able to open up a little bit easier, and be able to play on your opponent's turn. Always pretty strong. First effect is garbage. We have 1 Monitor. This card isn't really like the best. It's an okay one of in here to special summon off of other stuff, but really it's only decent because there's now more than 2 traps in the deck. So Monitor, he's an alright card. 1 Fire Engine. I mean, he's just, you don't really need him as much now because once again, Air Hoister will get you into everything. You have other ways to start your combos off, so you don't necessarily always need the extender. He's just really nice to have, especially since you can summon any level 4 lower Rescue Ace from the deck, which is really nice. Well, hand deck or graveyard. 1 Rescue Ace Preventer. This guy is nuts, being able to just banish 1 Rescue Ace from the graveyard to summon him, and then also be able to get a Book of Moon effect if you have another Rescue Ace on field, and then also being able to recur a banished Rescue Ace monster. Special summoning a Rescue Ace monster that's banished except a level 8 is pretty strong effect, and he's also just a pretty beefy beat stick, especially under the field spell. 2 copies of Rescue Ace Turbulence. This is the whole centerpiece of your deck. It is banishing 2 Rescue Ace cards to summon this, and then you get to set up to 4 Rescue Ace spells and or traps from your deck, which now after DUNE there is a total of 6 targets for. So there's definitely plenty of means to get into some really insane stuff. For the spells and traps, we're going to start with 3 Emergency, the newest card out of DUNE. Once again, once this card comes out, the deck changes substantially. Just be able to summon a Rescue Ace from deck and then tribute a monster from your hand or field, a Rescue Ace monster from hand or field. Gets you set up for basically everything you need. You just normal summon Hoister, add this, use this to summon Hydrant from deck, tribute the Air Hoister. You use Hydrant, add the Turbulence, and then banish the 2 cards that are now in your graveyard thanks to Emergency to summon out the Turbulence. It's just completely free. We're still playing 2 HQ, 2 of the field spell. And basically, as long as you have 2 in the deck, you're able to infinitely recur resources. Because even if your opponent Cosmic Cyclones one of them, you can just use the other field spell to recycle it back into the deck and get an infinite loop of resources going. So definitely worth having 2 of. It's not like your primary search target anymore, but it's good to have for the later grind game, especially with getting that extra normal summon. It helps you kind of get ahead a bit faster. 1 Alert and 1 Rescue, just both solid cards. Alert is like your Rhoda for the deck if you have Hydrant on the field, or it'll just add from graveyard to hand, which is why I only played at 1. You pretty much just want to get it off of Turbulence, and that's good. 1 Rescue, just add, it's either special summons a Rescue Ace from your graveyard, or if you have Hydrant, you can special summon from your opponents instead. For the traps, we have 1 Reinforce, 1 Extinguish, 1 Contain. Extinguish and Contain being good, solid disruption cards, especially with Hydrant on field, which is a lot more consistent now. And then Reinforce, just being able to protect your monsters from dying, so that way you can keep your effects live and be able to have a board surviving for your turn. So Reinforce, pretty solid card. Next up, 1 Reinforcement of the Army gets you either your Air Hoister or your Impulse. Almost never the Monitor, but there's some times where I guess it could. Triple Gamma, because Emergency is our best card currently, so if they try to do anything to that, we have a Gamma to back it up, as well as 1 Driver. 2 Ghost Ogre, just because at least currently in this metagame, Ogre is just an insane card, does a lot against a lot of decks, but as the format changes, this could very well change as well. Triple Ash Blossom, just always a generically good card. It's also a fire, so it blends in with our deck pretty well. And it's also a tuner, which you can find some applications for that, surely. Triple Droll and Lockbird up next. Once again, just currently format dependent because it's just really good into this format right now. And then Triple Crossout Designator because our deck will die to an Ash, so we just want to make sure that that's kind of insulated there. It also could be hit by like Imperm and Veiler, but you're not seeing those as much in this current format. So once again, as things change, like as Droll and Ogre kind of come out of the format a little bit, you can start putting the Imperms and Veilers in to protect yourself on your Turbulence. So Crossout's just a good card in this deck all around. For the extra deck, I'm not really too particular on this. You guys always know my thoughts on the extra deck for this. It's very flexible. There's only a couple of cards that are like basically mandatory, even post Dune support. And I would say that's like your Anima, Almirage, and Linkuriboh are like your biggest ones. You could also throw in there like the IP Masquerena and Unicorn, because that's just a standard disruption package. But overall, the extra deck is entirely up to your interpretation and totally flexible. Of course, I have the Anima, the Almirage, Linkuriboh, one IP Masquerena, one Barricade Borg blocker if I need to do anything with a field spell, one Nightmare Cerberus, one Cyframe Lord Lambda since we're running the Gammas, one Hida. I mean, that's another one that's kind of mandatory for this deck because you never know when a fire is going to get thrown around, especially with Ash being such a common staple. Hida's pretty decent to have. One Nightmare Phoenix, once again, more removal. Nightmare Unicorn, same thing. BLS, you have a ton of big level guides. It's easy to make him hard to deal with for the opponent. One Apollosa, because you never know when you get to slap enough bodies on field to do stuff with this. One Axis Kotaker, help close games. One Nightmare Griffin, it's funny Floodgate Boy, what can I say? And then one Underworld Goddess to deal with unaffected bodies. For the side deck here, we kind of have some different options going on. So we have triple Solemn Judgment. This is for going games 2 and 3 when we know our opponent's likely going to side in evenly matched. This is part of our protection against it. We have this and Crossout Designated help against the evenly matched. Because of course you can see down here we are also citing 3 copies of our own. We also have 3 copies of Lord of the Heavenly Prison if we know that our opponent's putting in back row hate to deal with us. We can use this to help protect us from that as well, which is pretty good. Then we also have 3 Dark Rulers help break boards, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, and 2 Lightning Storm to help kind of mitigate some of our own back row matchups, because that's the one thing this deck really doesn't deal with inherently. So having the extra removal options to deal with back row in the evenly matched Lightning Storm and Duster is pretty solid. And of course, these also help with combo decks as well. I tried to go as generic as possible as I could for the extra deck. Once again, all entirely format dependent on how this shapes up, but the judgments are pretty much a mandatory if you know you're going first in games 2 or 3 to insulate from that evenly matched. So that is going to do it for today's deck profile, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you found it insightful. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave those down below. I always read all your guys' comments and answer them as quickly as I can, and I just love having a chat with you guys. So once again, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in to my Rescue Ace profile today, and we'll see how much this deck shakes up by the time it actually comes out. But until then, lads, remember, good fun. Have luck.